Welcome to Behind the Muscle podcast. Today's guest is an NPC bodybuilder. Today's guest is Mike Scherer. Mike, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, for sure, man. So you're 4 days out from stepping on the North American stage. So I'm excited to get you on, kind of get into the prep for North Americans. But before we do, I would kind of like to know, who are a few of your favorite bodybuilders of all time?
I never really had like a bodybuilder that I just like stuck with. Like, I feel like a lot of people pick like an athlete or someone that they like, and they kind of like latch onto them for years at a time. I mean, there was different times when, like at first I liked Arnold and I read his book, everyone's read his book. And then I liked Jay Cutler for a while. And then I liked Branch Warren for a minute. And then he seemed kind of like a jerk during one of the documentaries I saw. So I stopped liking him, but really like no one that I cling to. I kind of like the newer guys, which is weird because when I was younger, I hated the look. Like I said, I don't like that look. And then Classic came out and I actually wanted to do Classic. And I'm just a little too heavy for it, so I can't. But so it's kind of funny because now I am a bodybuilder. And in the beginning, I didn't like the look. Now I like the look, and I like the modern guys better. So like, but one guy I really did look up to for like the longest probably stint is just Regan Grimes, really.
Cool.
Yeah.
So speaking of some of the current guys outside of Regan, who are some of the physiques, whether that's classic physique or bodybuilding, that you kind of look up to or you kind of respect them right now?
Honestly, like Ian, I really like Ian's physique. Other than that, I mean, I don't know, man. I'm not super like, I should be more, I guess connected, or it's not that I love the sport. It's great. I just don't know everybody's name and stuff,
Cool. Hey man, it's okay. Like not everybody's going to be like all into it like myself. So that's cool, man. Definitely Regan, man. He's got all the tools. I think he's still got to just continue to grow a little bit more. And obviously Ian, he's a freak. So those are definitely a couple of guys currently that are Olympians and top pros. So super cool with that. Now, why don't you let us know, now don't go like into your kind of your full bodybuilding story right now, but just kind of let us know quickly, like at what age did you start lifting weights, Mike? And then why did you start lifting weights at that specific age?
Just like the general quick answer would be, I started at 17, senior year of high school. And the main reason is just, I remember going into like a Snap Fitness and I saw a really big dude in there. And I was just like, I don't know. I just saw the way people acted around him, said hi to him, were friendly with him, but he was also a nice guy, which was important to me because I had met other guys that were big, but like, jerks. And he was kind of spinning it around. So it was eye-opening for me. And, but that basically combined with, I was sick of sports, like team sports. So those two is why. Yeah.
Cool. Really makes sense. All right. So I like to use that question to kind of transition into my guests' backstory in terms of like their childhood, their upbringing a little bit. So talk about where you grew up, Mike. Talk about, family dynamics, talk about sports that you played. Just talk to us a little bit, share with us a little bit, if you don't mind, like, how were you when you were younger? Just talk about those younger years for a minute up to about high school. Once you kind of talk about high school a little bit, then I've got some follow-up questions that kind of transition us from there.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to think where to start. Okay. So the reason this show is really important to me is because my hometown is actually 45 minutes outside of Pittsburgh. It's called Zelienople, Pennsylvania. That's where I grew up. So that's like one reason the show is special to me, is because it is in my hometown, but also it's the first one any of my family could come see. Growing up, went to a small Catholic school. You had like 30 kids in the grade. Like it was weird kind of, because I mean, if you fought with someone, I mean, you're going to see them next year and the next year. It's like literally the same 30 kids from kindergarten to 8th. So I did that until 7th grade. Then I switched to public school because it was driving me nuts. Not the religion part, I'm fine with that, but it was just the school was killing me, like the uniforms and everything. So I went to public school, but when you switch like that, everyone already had like a lot of friends because they all grew up together like I did. But I grew up with 30 kids. They grew up with 800. So it wasn't like a worst high school experience, but it wasn't what I had wanted when I wanted to move. You know, I wanted I think if I had started out earlier like that in high school, it would have been, you know, different because kids don't like you just because you're the new kid and they give you like the one day. You're either the cool kid or you're nobody, and then that's it. It's like that's nobody or that is somebody. So but it wasn't bad. Like I had a group of 3-4 friends, and that's kind of how I am like my whole life. But I played sports. I always liked playing sports. I played literally like everything I could. I mean, basketball, football, soccer. I wanted to play hockey, but you had to buy your own gear at the time, and we just couldn't afford it. But I did ice skate since I was 3 years old, so I definitely could have played hockey. But I wrestled for a while. I did taekwondo, baseball. I don't know if I mentioned soccer. I mean, if it's a sport, I basically have tried it or played it. And that was pretty much like high school. And then I got sick of like the school is so big. It's kind of the same thing. You know, if you don't know the team, if you're not connected, I mean, there's 300 kids on my team. So if they don't know who you are, like you could ride the bench and they'll never even know that you're on the roster. Literally, it's insane. So I was just sick of that because it was like, and it was very evident. I'm not saying I was a great football player because everyone thinks that, but I know there's 2 or 3 examples where like they took the lead guy out because we were doing good, and they put me in and I did great, but then they pull you out because you're still nobody. So it's just like once you get sick of that, and then you combine that with losing, you're like, dude, I don't want to be on this team anymore. So then, you know, I met Zach, that dude in the gym, and senior year of high school, like he basically like the way he guided me is what I try to do for other people now, because it was really cool because he was nice. He treated me good. He didn't give me the answers, but he said where to go. So like back then he said, go on bodybuilding.com, find a bulk diet and start it. And I just did that. I was like, Mom, we got to go to Costco. And I was doing the eggs and the oatmeal and I would pack it. I remember I would eat it during class, make the teachers mad. Like I was like, I am doing this the right way. And I was just determined. And I mean, that's pretty much leading all the way up to senior year. I mean, that's how it was. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So before we transition, talk about your relationship with your parents and what type of influence they had on you as a young person.
Yeah, they I mean, like they always influenced me for sure, but they're like super, I mean, I couldn't ask for better parents. I mean, I mean, they know everything. It's just like you can be very open with them. They're like my best friends, you know, you don't have to worry. Like some people have parents and it really sucks. And it's unfortunate that like if I tell my mom this or if I tell my dad this, then they're gonna like, you know, there's going to be a period where they disown me or they're upset or like, you know, all over a tattoo or a piercing or something that doesn't mean anything, you know? So I'm very fortunate because I think that has played a huge role in my success just in life. Like in the military, I did really good. You know, I think it's just the mindset and everything. So
Any siblings?
no.
Okay.
And everyone always goes, oh yeah, that makes sense.
All right. So when you were in high school, Mike, most of us have some sort of a thought about a career, a job, college, what we want to be when we quote unquote grow up. Now, you mentioned the military, and I saw that on your Instagram that you're an Air Force veteran.
Yeah.
So was the military something that you had thoughts about pretty early on in your life? Was it something that was presented to you in high school? How did the military come to be something that you pursued?
I think it was just like for me in life, I always go like 110%. I'm like the guy that like I'm sure you know someone like this that like maybe they like this happened and I was older than I should admit, but I was like 22 and all of a sudden I got into yo-yos for like no reason. 2 weeks later, I'm the dude with all the yo-yos. I got the $100 yo-yo, the yo-yo that won't wake up. Like I just go all in. So like very early on, I wanted to play guitar. I wanted to be in a band. Like I wanted to play music for people for sure. I tried everything I knew. Like when I say I go to the extreme, so like I would play 7 hours a day. I would audition for bands every weekend. And the problem I was having is like in Pittsburgh, metal was like the thing, and guitars and instruments were kind of just fading. I mean, as you can see now, music, I mean, find songs with guitars, it's hard, and even then they're modified. So I kind of gave that up. And then of course I did like the whole football player. That's the sport I played the longest, was football. I played since I was like 8. So I used to, same thing. I used to run my own drills. I asked the coach for a playbook. I said, what do I need to do to play? I did everything. Like, and then, like I said, I got frustrated, and then it was bodybuilding. But obviously, you know, you cannot, you don't make millions bodybuilding. It's not in the NFL. So I don't want to go to school, and I didn't want to put the burden of all the money on my parents, because I never like handouts, and I don't like people owing me. And I just like, you know, I love them. So I don't like, it's a lot of money to ask them to pay. So that was never my goal. And because I didn't know what I wanted to do that would use a degree for sure, I just didn't really know. And but I did want to be a cop. So my uncle has been a cop my entire life, and my grandfather was a cop my entire life. So I was just like, I want to be a 3rd generation cop. The problem is in the county that I lived in. Well, I didn't live in that county, but the county I would work in with my uncle, I think you had to be 21. Well, you graduate at 18. And in Pennsylvania, when you take the police test, they give you 10 extra points if you serve 4 military years. So that means you could score 90 and get 100. And that's a huge leg up on the competition for sure. I mean, so originally that is why I went in the military, was to get those 4 points. Because I was like, you know, you have 3 years, and I mean, what am I going to work at a grocery store for 3 years and be that guy just driving around smoking weed, waiting for, you know, my time? And then all of a sudden I'm Paul Blart and my time didn't come, you know? So that was the plan. And I was like, you know, I'll make money and have a career, and I'll do my 4, which I think, you know, I think a lot of people should serve. It opens your eyes to a lot of things. And then, you know, I did my time and I'm out. I did 8, but because obviously that didn't happen. I'm not a cop, but yeah, man. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I just want to ask you, we won't spend a whole lot of time on the military talk, but
Yeah.
8 years is, I mean, that's almost a decade. You basically grew up in the military then. I mean, you know, your adulthood was spent in the military for 8 years. So what was like, what was something that the military, outside of, you know, like the normal typical answers, like the discipline, work ethic, stuff like that, is there anything that really stands out, Mike, that you feel like, man, I'm really glad I went into the military because it helped me realize this, or it helped me to get to this point? Or what do you got for us in terms of that?
I mean, there's like all the obvious, like it provides you challenges, and if you want to promote, you got to do this and that. And you know, the discipline of like PT, and you know, you don't even realize, like, and I'm not comparing it to jail because it's not, but you don't realize how restricted you are until, like, I got out this January and I'm looking around going like, no one's gonna call me or text me or what. Like, it's weird. It feels weird. I feel like I took my like house arrest collar off, you know, like, but you don't realize that when you're in. But something good that I learned that I think is probably random, and I just want to say it because it's not obvious, is like you learn, I am realizing that I learned to just kind of, you start to see things as just things. Because you move so much, like I moved 8 times in 8 years. At a certain point, you stop collecting stuff because you're like, that's just more stuff that I have to move next time. And I know it's kind, you know, and like, and so like I moved here in Oklahoma, and right away I didn't get a house because I'm just trying to get settled. So I got an apartment, and it's the same thing. Like, I know I'm going to move again. So, but the good thing about that I think came out of it is I just have a different view of possessions. Like, I like everything that I have, but at the same time, because I've moved it so much, and there's still boxes here, man. Like, because you go from big to small too. I went from 2-story house to apartment to garage. But I just think it's good because, you know, like if someone came in here and robbed me, I honestly wouldn't care. I would just go buy more stuff because it's just stuff. And I think once you move enough, stuff gets broken and lost. And it's just eventually it's like, well, I remember that grandma got me that. And that's what's important, not the actual wooden boat or some crazy weird shit.
So what's before we spend the rest of the time talking bodybuilding, what's your career path now in terms of paying your bills and things like that? What's next for you?
Yeah, so I always wanted to like be a coach. And then I think it really clicked for me like 2 years ago. So I lived in Arkansas, my last base. My coach who owns the gym here, his name's Marcus. And that's the reason I'm here. But I used to come visit because I was on, like our team, the marked ones. I used to come visit just because I just like learning things and I like bodybuilding. I'm just like, I don't really have any friends in Arkansas. So I would drive up and hang out, but I saw the lifestyle. I don't know if anyone watching this has seen it. I'm sure we've all seen it. It just depends on how your coach is, but the coolest thing to me ever is when you travel to somewhere to a hotel and your job is to hang out, watch someone, have them eat, pose, and it's just like a chill environment where like the coaches get paid good money because they have a good eye and what they do is not easy. But when you think about like what you're doing for work, it's just like, that's the life for me. Like I'll travel every weekend, but it's just, I don't know, man. I just like that. So that was kind of always the goal. It turned into the goal after the cop thing because I just want to do that. And then, so the plan was always that. And then I got out early. I got out way early in the military. So I called up my coach and I was like, yo, can we just do this? So it was like a big leap of faith because, no one knows me here. I don't have family in Oklahoma. This is a random state. So I went from, a steady paycheck to, there was a week here. I remember driving back from the gym on a Friday. I made $80 and I was like, man, this is a little scary. Everything turned around now, but yeah, you just had to do that. So
cool, man. No, I respect that, dude. Cause a lot of people, I mean, when you're in the military, I was in the military for a very short time and it's like, the paycheck comes in, right? And it's just everything you know where you're going to go eat, it's obviously very structured. And so then when you are out of the military, it's like, I mean, you're now in the quote unquote civilian world and it's a whole different ball game, right? Like there's, it's just like playing sports your whole life. And then when you're done playing sports, it's like, it can be tough for a lot of people because it's like you have so much structure. You're basically told by coaches and adults, your entire life what to do. And then at some point it's like, wow, like I can do whatever I want. So it's like, what am I going to do? Like, you have to kind of figure things out. So much respect, man, that you're kind of going for that. And I'm sure, with your bodybuilding success yourself, that will really open up some great doors for you in terms of coaching and training and things like that. So very, very cool. Now let's start transitioning into bodybuilding talk. So you started lifting weights at 17 in high school. Why don't you take us up to the point where you decided, hey, I'm going to compete for the first time? And what was that competition? How did that go? Just start unpacking your bodybuilding story for us, Mike.
Okay, so 17, like when I met that guy Zach, basically the goal was like I just want to be huge because like I just like people respect him, and I was an introvert like in school, and I was just like I noticed that people talk to Zach. Zach doesn't have to talk to people, so I was like, oh, that's cool. So let me do that. That's how it started. And then as I got more serious with that 6-meal diet that I started, because I was just like all in, I started getting, like muscular development magazines and being like, Dad, I want to look like this. And, all the dumb stuff we say. And I just remember a specific conversation. He said that I tell this story all the time because I think a lot of people ask, not really people, like usually younger kids will ask this, but sorry, man, I lose my train of thought so fast right now.
Hey, man, you're good. You're not the only one. I've had a lot of guys in
so hard.
What's that?
I said it's so hard because you're just going so good, and then it's like blank, and you're like, oh.
No, you're good, man. You're good. I'm used to it. But you said you started getting like muscular development magazines, and you just kind of like were starting to get exposed to bodybuilding, right? So just kind of pick it up from there. How did you
Oh,
kind
the
of
story.
continue?
Okay, the story. Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
all I said was, Dad, I want to be a professional bodybuilder. And he's like, they always encouraged me. My parents always encouraged me. He said, you could go for it for sure. I just don't know how big you'll be able to get because of our genetics. And if you looked at a family picture, I mean, and that's most bodybuilders. Like that's what a lot of kids don't understand is like they're little, but they don't understand. Like I was talking to my training partner Levi yesterday about this. I was like, if I wasn't little, I wouldn't be big because every bodybuilder hated themselves. You know what I mean? Like that's girls, that's guys. Like we changed our body because we didn't like it, and we didn't like it enough to spend hours in the gym doing it. But I like telling that story because and I just had it this week in the gym. Some kid asked about like they like to ask about their potential, and that's when I say, right there was a crossroad, and I didn't know it at the time, but in my kid brain, I could have very well said, well, Dad said he's not sure, and I could lose confidence in myself, and I could have just said, maybe I'll just look for something else, and then maybe I dive deeper into guitar, and I would still be that skinny kid. So I always like to tell people, like, and you see it all over Reddit and stuff. Everyone wants to rate your physique and stuff, and I'm just like, you go 110% for 2 years, sign a contract with yourself for 2 years, you're going to do it. No matter how bad it sucks, you're going to go to the gym 5 days a week for 2 years. At the end of your 2-year contract, if you don't ever want to go to a gym again, you can say you genuinely tried. You know what I mean? Like, and then, and you'll be able to tell, like, if you have some potential or not, And so I just think you shouldn't take the answer from someone. You should just go find that answer. Because it's not like a hidden answer. It's just a 2-year process answer. Yeah. But what else are you going to do in those 2 years anyway? You're just going to sit at home and play Apex. You know what I mean?
So from that point of you deciding like, hey, I want to kind of look like the guys on muscular development and stuff like that. When did you decide to do your first competition, and how did that go?
Right. So honestly, for a very long time, I was like, I wanted to compete, then I didn't want to compete, and then I wanted to compete. And honestly, when I was younger, it's weird looking back, but like in the earlier years when I liked bodybuilding, I was just being torn between, like, I wanted to live the strict lifestyle, but I wanted to party on the weekends, like, because I had friends, and it's just fun, you just get sick of, like, what do you mean I can't have cake? And then eventually something switched where I was like, okay, like, I want to do this, because there was nothing, I looked great. I was just never going to be a good bodybuilder. You can't do that. You know what I mean? That's a lifestyle client diet. You can't. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to do it. And I think I was in California. I think it was in 2019, and I was with a girl, and dude, it's just funny because they always say like relationships are so important, and they are, because she was just we were going through like a rough time, but she was also suicidal, and like I didn't have cell phone service at work, so I never knew what was going on, and that sucked. And eventually, like, you're so focused on that, and I just kind of fell apart. So in 2019, I was like, I'm quitting, even though I didn't start. So now I know that was a ton of BS to get you here, but 2021 is the time I said finally. And a lot of times in between there was orders. Like, we would plan to go, and then I would get deployed for 6 months, or we would plan to go. And I used to fly on C-130s, and you would deploy, or you go here or there. And it's just like, because it's hard to prep. Last year I prepped while I flew missions all year. It was not fun at all. But to answer your question, 2021 Oklahoma Championships. I was a heavyweight last year too. It was my first show, my first NPC show ever. And then I won my class, and then I won the overall. And then we figured, me and my coach, we wanted to do a stepping approach, like the right way, like the old school way of like, okay, we're going to win the state level. And then we wanted to go to junior nationals and win the show, even though there's no pro card. It's a step, for a bodybuilder, it's a step. I mean, we can't go pro, so let's win that. And then the plan was going to be this year, go to USA's. And I got second, which was great, honestly, for me, just because this is like a different tier of guys. And the guy that beat me, we were very, very close. He just had more mature muscle. He's older, and all my stuff was new. I mean, it's still, it's still new. So there's nothing you can do about that. So I wasn't upset about it. And then, yeah, it was a good year. And that was it. Those are my 2 shows. I'm a rookie.
Yes, you are, man. And that kind of makes things fun. Now, I want to ask you, because I mean, during this time of kind of some ups and downs in your life and the deployments and all that, like, you can't just like decide you're going to compete, show up at, the Mr. Oklahoma, win that, get second place in the heavyweights at junior nationals, and not have had some sort of a training foundation, right? So at least give us a little insight, Mike, into what you were able to do in the military and through some of these, the relationship struggles or whatever. Like, what type of training were you doing to lay a foundation for competing in 2021? Because again, you didn't just show up without anything and take an overall. So talk about that.
Well, honestly, the military, like, as far as the competing part, it's not as bad. It's like, basically just imagine I was running an off season forever. It would be like, you're running an off season, and then it's like, okay, I think we can do this show in October. It's the Grand Prix, whatever. And then literally the military is like this. You're at your desk. You're like, I think I'm going to get Starbucks today. And then they're like, hey, Mike, Joe can't go on the deployment and you don't have a family, so you got to go. And it's like, when's he leaving? And you're like, 60 days. And you're like, okay. So that was the kind of stuff that was happening. So it was just like a reset. And I mean, it was just crappy because I was in between that phase for me too, where like I was serious and then I wasn't serious and then I was serious. But honestly, I trained the same and I just would follow a diet. What really changed for me was COVID hit, I guess, 2020. And then I had to work out. One of my friends, she had a garage gym, which was awesome. I mean, I hate garage gyms. I hate being in gyms alone. It's everything I hate about a gym. Like, no mirrors. You're alone. It's quiet. It's weird. It's small. There's not enough stuff. You have to do barbell everything. But like during that time, like a lot of people, I'm sure it was depressing. It's like, because, it's the same thing. It's like, well, let me deadlift, barbell row, and curl today, I guess. I can go home and feel like a fat piece of shit, But after that is when I really got excited for some reason out of nowhere. And that's when I turned it up. And I have like pictures from 2021 till 2020, when we started, like we said, let's go, to now. And it's like, it's insane. Yeah.
Cool.
It just looks fake, but
you might have to send me a couple of those before pictures so I can post them on social media, just show people that you can do whatever you want. Would that be kind of cool?
Yeah.
I'd love to get a couple of those shots. All right, so 2021, that was the year that you're like, all right, I'm going to compete. So coming out of 2020, you decide that you're going to compete. Now, have you been working with Marcus then? How long have you been working with Marcus? And the question I want to ask about him is, why did you choose him? He's somebody that I've never heard of. So why did you choose him? How long have you been working with him? Just unpack your guys' relationship for a minute here.
I think it was just like, what was the first, like the leading question, the very first question?
The first question is, why did you pick Marcus, and how long have you guys been working together?
Oh, okay. So in the very beginning, I can't even remember. Oh, I had a couple local coaches that were, very IG online coach. And you're like, okay, but I tell my clients all the time too, like, it's hard shopping for a coach. Like, I had a client one day ask me, like, Mike, what should I ask you? And I was like, I've never really shopped for a coach, so I don't know what to ask. Like, I don't know what you should ask. But I always tell them, like, sit there and do not make a choice until you're sure, because it's hard to pick a coach. So I think I had 4 or 5 coaches that were just trash. Like, nothing was really going on with my body. I wasn't really making a whole lot of progress. And then I was working out on base and I saw this kid I used to know that went from skinny to fucking huge. And I was just like, he got ready for a show and this dude looked amazing, man. Like, and I still think he could be really, really good, but he quit. He did one show and quit. So, but anyways, I hadn't seen him in forever and I saw him in the gym when I was working out and I was like, dude, like, because I had honestly, I had barely even seen many bodybuilders in real life still, you know, like I met a few of the guys, but still. So like I'd never even seen anyone look like that. I mean, I think it was right before a show. So I just asked him, who's your coach? I hopped on a call with Marcus and then honestly, we just stuck through it for like a long time. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. The thing that I liked about him right away was that he pays it so close attention to detail. And he was the first one that was so good. He'd get my body to do whatever we wanted. Whereas like other coaches were like, I had a coach that would just be like, if you were hungry, he would just add an ounce of protein. And you're like, I don't want to eat 32 ounces of chicken and a cup of rice. Like, what do we, you know, just insane. So,
I want to ask you because I think you hit the nail on the head in terms of it's hard to find the right coach, especially when you're younger, man, because of social media. There's so many charlatans and people that, you know, have these flashy Instagram handles and followers. And it's like, dude, like there's so much information out there. Like, you know, even for myself being in bodybuilding and gym and going to college for exercise science, like even for me, dude, there's so much information, right? We live in the information age. There's so much information out there. And it's like, I can't even imagine, like, if you're trying to get just quote unquote, like healthy or lose some weight or get into bodybuilding or whatever for the first time, like just beginning, like it's gotta be overwhelming because I get overwhelmed with all the information out there with running a business and coaching and bodybuilding and podcasting. It's like, dude, like, where do you start? So, I want to ask you then, Mike, because you've had some horrible coaches and then it sounds like Marcus has been great for you. So, for the listeners, for those who are watching this, can you kind of help us navigate, you know, just through your own experience, what the difference is between a great coach and a coach that sucks? Like just through your experience, because I know you said earlier, like, hey, like, I don't really know how to coach shop, but you've had some experiences. So what makes a great coach as opposed to a horrible coach in your estimation? And then how have you taken some of those experiences and turn that into how you want to be a coach? Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, hopefully I can remember them both.
if you need help remembering, I'll help you.
Okay. The first one is the coach question, right? I mean, honestly, it's really tough. I think I've always been someone that with a coach, I like to look at experience. And it's hard in bodybuilding too, because there are some awesome pros that are coaches that suck. And there are some really bad pros that are coaches that are amazing. Like there are some 80-year-old dudes that can coach like wizards and they can't pick up a dumbbell. So you can't really use that logic very much. Credentials is another tough one because like there's certain ones like NASM. I mean, can you read a book and take a test? I'm sure you can. I know 45 high school trainers because of it. You know what I mean? So like, so that doesn't help you really, the certs. But I think you would say experience, but you need to look at their, basically their team. Like there's some of those guys out there like, and I'm going to butcher it, but like Shane, starts with an H.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say it. I think Hughley or
Hughley. Yeah, I think
right,
so.
okay, so when you have 155 or something pro cards, I'm pretty sure he could probably help you. You know what I mean? So like, I think things like that speak way louder than, you know, a lot of kids, they do the follower thing, the influencer thing. Oh, James, I can't remember his name. Sush is training me. Like, woo, like, listen, James doesn't know anything. And the other thing I don't believe in too, just like in this general topic is like, you know, like you said, like Marcus isn't well known, but I do think, and I truly believe there's coaches out there that in me, myself becoming a coach, you realize this, that like I'm doing my best with everybody I got, but I only have my little talent pool that I can, you know what I mean? I can try and recruit some bigger guys, but it's hard at first, you know, because he's helped a lot of people, but that's the thing is then they leave because he's not well known. And I just think that's so dumb because I've seen so many people leave for coaches that are, you know, well, he coaches Mr. Olympia or he coaches Chris or, you know, and it's just like, but you're not Chris. They're not like, that's not how it works. And when it comes down to coaching, I just don't think there's, you know, it's very complicated, but at the same time, there's only so much you can do. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's not like, you know, this guy has this wizard trick because he's got 300,000 followers. And I just wish people would realize that because I think that's the biggest thing. I've had probably 4 or 5 friends ask me to coach them, not get back to me, and then hire some smoja, like some random 15K following. And they're like, they're excited about it. And then I see the diet and the training plan and you go, this is garbage. That is another big thing. How much time is put into like a training plan, not necessarily a diet. I mean, a diet is eggs and this and that, but like a training plan, does it say leg extensions, 4 sets of 12 or like, because there's a million ways I can do that. So how do I do it? How do you want it performed? Is there a negative? Should I go slow, you know, eccentric? Like, you know, and I just think like the attention to detail, stuff like that. And then also when you communicate with them with issues, you know, you could very much say like, well, I'm your this coach, so that's not my problem. And I think a lot of people do that because coaching is like a full, I mean, like, you know, your clients own your life basically. So, which is fine. I love it, but I'm just saying it's just different.
Yeah.
But I think those things, I mean, you just have to like pay attention. And I would say like watch them. If you can watch them, because if you just meet them, it's kind of like you're going in the store and just buying something. But like if you watch them and you're like, oh, like he cares because he spends extra time over here and this person got injured and he showed him, you know, how to get more mobile or open up for a squat or, you know, it's like extra stuff. And if your coach is like that, always going above and beyond, and they have a good, you know, like I said, like they're winning pro cards, then I mean, then I would say that's a good start.
Man, no, that's perfect. That we're gonna leave it right there because that's some great info. Now, your decision to move to Oklahoma to be around your coach more, what brought about that decision? Why did you choose that? Is it really just to become a better athlete and to really kind of learn to be a better coach for yourself from him, or what was it?
Yeah, it's like a multiple bunch of things. Number one, I do want to be one of the best professional bodybuilders like in the world. I mean, like top 15 guys. But so I'm taking it very serious, and that's when in the military, like this was a big leap. And I told you I got out early, and it was crazy. So, but I just figured, like, you know, I'm 27, and I'm just gonna, like I tell everyone else, I'm gonna go to the wall, and then if I do a couple shows and it's like, Mike, you're just not gonna be that pro, then you cut it out. But you know, I have to see it first. But so that was a huge reason, because I truly believe, you know, like I'm around my coach Marcus every single day. We train at the same gym. That's where I train clients in person. I also body temper clients in person there. And then I run into a lot of my online guys there that work out. So, and I mean, to say that there's no benefit to seeing your coach every day would be crazy. I mean, he always knows what I look like. He always knows what I weigh. He always knows how my workout was like. And then not only that, but I have a great training partner here, and he's always around. And if I'm lifting, he won't let me go light. And the equipment we have here, and they built the gym, and he owns the gym. I mean, I could go on and on. It's like my gym, but it's not on paper. You know what I mean? It's like, it's very much like I don't pay, you know, like it's my gym to use. I mean, really. So it's amazing. Yeah. But the bodybuilding, I just think the environment and all that, because I was working out at corporate gyms and that sucks. And if you don't have a bodybuilding friends, like that sucks too, because you're just lonely. Like you can't relate with anyone. So the main reason was the bodybuilding, but then also what am I going to do for a job, you know? And I always wanted to be a trainer and an online coach and do that. I like the lifestyle that came with it. and it was just scary, but I just made the jump. So now I'm just I just started in January. So, but I think it was just all that. The main reason being that he owns the gym, so I could get a job down here and just start right away. And yeah.
Love it, man. That's perfect. Now you said body tempering. Is that where you have like that big, what is it called? Like that, some sort of modality, and then you're like rolling them out kind of, or what?
Yeah, like a roller. We call them rollers. Yeah, like Donnie Thompson made that. It's crazy. Yeah.
How did you get into that? How do you become a practitioner for body tempering then?
You just take just like a certification, just a class. I think last November I drove to Dallas, and just like a 2-day course, and then that's it.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's very cool, man. Okay. Let's get back into the specifics of bodybuilding. So you win an overall last year, your first competition, you get second at junior nationals. Now you mentioned earlier that you guys are planning on doing USAs this year. Why didn't you guys decide to do USAs and go into North Americans instead?
Yeah, so actually the original plan for this year was go back to junior nationals. We still wanted to do the steps. Like we still wanted to win the overall junior nationals and say like, okay, now we're ready for the national level. Because we just both think that a lot of people skip stages, and you do see trash physiques at national shows sometimes, and it's really disappointing. And it just sucks because for like me, like I feel like I look like trash. Now I know I don't because I'm 4 days out, but it's just like I would like, I can't imagine cheating on my diet, or like I can't imagine showing up. I got people flying out here. I have people that help me pay for the show. Like if I didn't give 110%, I mean, I would want to end it, because it's just like I don't know how people do that. That's insane. Sorry, I got completely off topic, but what was the
no, so you guys were going to go back to junior nationals this year, but you didn't. Then you're going to go to USAs. Now you're 4 days out from North Americans. Why?
Yeah, okay. So junior nationals, the girl I was dating at the time, her sister was getting married like the same weekend as junior nationals. So I canceled that plan early, and then we broke up. So that was great. And then it was like, I don't want to just get ready for USAs. It was kind of that, like we picked Pittsburgh because my family was going to be there. And then I was like, I just fell in love with the date. And it was kind of like, we could have probably done USAs, but it was just like, let's just do Pittsburgh. And because then I get to turn it into a vacation after one trip,
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So this prep then, I saw on a post just less than 24 hours ago on your Instagram that you're doing 60 minutes fasted cardio and then 60 minutes cardio post-workout. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is that kind of where, how long have you been doing 120 minutes of cardio on this prep? How long has that been going?
I want to say we started on Wednesday or Thursday of last week. Maybe, what was it, 2 weeks out, right? Okay. Yeah, something like that.
Something close enough. Yeah.
Well, so like I said, I mean, this is only our second year prepping together, so we're trying to learn my body. But one thing we did learn last year is I have to beat, like I can get to 7%, and then I have to destroy myself to get it. Just doesn't want to give up the weight at a certain point. So we're just trying to, at that point when we do that, just trying to get ahead of it. Because last year we kept going the higher and higher and higher in the cardio, like, yo. And then I got to Oklahoma, and honestly, I wasn't in the best condition we wanted. It took another 3 weeks. So this time we were just like, we just know now that it's just got to be up there. Before we didn't know.
Okay.
Because I would say that's a pretty high amount.
120 minutes a day is, I'd say that's pretty high. I mean, I've heard people, going 90 minutes and stuff, couple sessions, but I'd say that's high, especially this close, 4 days out, but
it's high. Yeah.
You got to do what you got to do. Right. So, training, everybody loves to talk about training. That's, obviously a big part of bodybuilding. So, what's your current training split? And then, what's your kind of, training philosophy? How do you like to train? Like, is it one top set, balls to the wall, back off sets? Is it more high volume in terms of, higher reps, higher sets? Like what's your training split? What's your training philosophy?
For prep, I was doing, let's see, Monday was a push day, Tuesday was legs, Wednesday was shoulders with some arms at the end. That's because I need shoulders and arms. And then Thursday was pull, and then Friday was more arms with shoulders at the end because I need shoulders and arms. Saturday was hamstrings only because I need hamstrings. We threw that one in, like that specific workout just for prep. And then Sunday was my rest day. Okay. And the way we do our programming, like for our whole team, we all run like the same pretty much program. Or I guess you would say like methods, you know what I mean? Like we go by the same philosophy, but we use high, low, and moderate volume, like everything. And then I like personally lifting heavy. I like sets of 8 and stuff like that, like a set of 8 and then like a back off set, stuff like that. But I do a lot of back off sets, a lot of drop sets. I like doing rest pause sets lately, where like you do 12 and then rest and then fail. That's like, those are pretty tough. But I mean, honestly, nothing like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
pretty much standard stuff. I just like, I like to have a set and then a feeder set or 2, and then a good top set. And then from there, I'll either do another top set with the same weight, or I'll do a rest pause or a drop set or a back off set. That's pretty much, and then I'm going to go to the next exercise.
Dude, the more conversations I have with, athletes and coaches, bodybuilding, and I've known this for quite a while, but it just reiterates what I've learned and what I know already is that, dude, bodybuilding is all about consistency and literally sticking to the basics. Like I really feel, man, like, you can get into the weeds with training and nutrition, but a lot of Olympians, man, a lot of top athletes, it's just chicken, rice, heavy lifting, and it's consistency, right?
Yeah. I mean, my coach Marcus, he says like the closer your life looks like to Groundhog Day as a bodybuilder, the better you are.
I like it. That's a
good.
good.
It's just true. Like normal people don't get it, but it's like, I'm like this. And especially this year during this prep, a lot of people were like, you're pretty like, this is a little insane. And I'm like, insane people are champions. You know what I mean? Like you don't get somewhere great by just being average with it. So
yeah. Okay. So 4 days out from North Americans, when are you guys going to be heading up to Pittsburgh?
We're flying out tomorrow. We got an Airbnb down there.
Okay,
so
cool. And you're going to be in the heavyweight division.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you approach social media during this time? And how do you approach your competition? Are you somebody that's on Instagram all the time, checking out who you might be competing against? Are you off Instagram and blinders on, focus on yourself? Where are you at with that, at least for this prep?
Just like the whole time, or like during this week coming up, or
just, I mean, in general, like what's your kind of philosophy with that?
I don't do the whole, like, basically what I do is I don't care if you're competing with me, because the way I always say it is I'm not going to change anything. Yeah. I can't, if I look at a guy and I go, oh my God, he's huge. Well, I can't, I'm 4 days out. What am I going to put on a bodysuit? And I can't. So I don't like to stress about things that I can't control. So I don't go and look for competitors ever, but I don't ignore it because I'm not like scared. It's not that I hate them. Like bodybuilding and competing is weird because it's like, it is me versus you, but at the same time, it's like, it's your best versus my best. It doesn't really mean that it's very weird, And so like, I don't really view the other guys as like an enemy or like someone that I want to punch in the face or something. You know what I mean? But obviously, like when Bodybuilders Without Borders, they put together those little grids and stuff. I see who's going to be there and oh, that's cool. But no, I mean, I like being on Instagram between prejudging and like finals to see. I'm just curious to see what people say, because I honestly don't give a shit what they had to say, because I don't read like in general, like I don't read my comments and stuff, and like because it just does more harm than good, you know. It's just like everyone's a critic, and every critic has accomplished nothing. They've accomplished nothing. So it's just like I don't even see them. I just don't.
Yeah. No, that's
Really it. Like I honestly, I don't think I change anything because, you know, when you're laying on the floor for 5 hours between judging, I mean, what else am I gonna do? I'm gonna be on Instagram.
Great perspective, Mike. Okay, we're gonna start kind of heading towards the finish line. But before we do, what is your personal goal in terms of North Americans this year? What do you want to do in the heavyweight division? What are you expecting in terms of placings? What do you want to take away from North Americans?
For heavyweight, win for sure. And then overall, I'd love to win overall, but I do know some of the supers, and I love being the guy that's like, I'm gonna fucking win. And I still am gonna have that attitude that I'm gonna win the overall somehow, but I just don't have that super size. You know what I mean? Like that super. I mean, you never know though. That's the thing. Like you literally never know. I mean, like last year, I remember watching Justin and Carlos. They're just very different. I like them both, but like if they would have given it to Justin, I would have been like, I mean, yeah. But at the end of like Justin looked sick, and he was a heavy, but he just doesn't have the. And I kind of feel like that's how I am. Like I feel like that's very much how the show will go for me. Is I will win heavies, and then it will just be what can I do in the overall. That's how I see it. Yeah.
Okay, so if you get your pro card at North Americans in 4 days, have you and Marcus had any discussion about what's next then?
Yeah, a little bit for sure. Some time off, at least a year and a half. You know, because we know that like stage weight wise, you know, I'll probably be like exactly 225. And from last prep to this prep, I put on 20 pounds. So if we could do something similar, I might be within striking of like the actual pros, but that's basically the deciding factor. The timeline, honestly, we kind of talk about doesn't change. Like worst case scenario, it doesn't happen this year, but I'll still do the same offseason plan and we'll get the card next year. And then I'll still compete next year, but it will be right after a show as opposed to, does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of the plan, but I was never in a rush to get I'm not that. For me, the bodybuilding career starts when you get your pro card. So like all this stuff we're doing now is like, it's like, you know what I mean? Like, I just don't want to act like it's real until it's real, I guess. Does that make sense?
So if you don't get your pro card at North Americans, are you going to plan on hitting up nationals then in December or not?
No, I hate the date. I would love to do nationals because it's a great show, but it's too close to the Olympia and going home for Christmas. And it's just such a bad time, I think.
Okay.
So I don't think so, but I mean, maybe I'll hit you up and be like, hey.
Yeah, you never know, right? I mean, that's December still 3-4 months away. So a lot can change in that. So, all right, Mike, I think that's about it. I want to ask you just maybe a couple more things here and then we'll be done. In terms of bodybuilding, what do you feel like bodybuilding has taught you, or what do you feel like bodybuilding has given you up to this point?
I was just talking to like a client the other day about this. I think bodybuilding has given me almost damn near everything I have. I mean, you see a lot of that with all these cool stories where these guys are drug addicts and it just changed their life. You know, I mean, just the gym. I mean, I give people examples of why the gym's great every day. I mean, it's like, you know, there are definitely, and that's the thing too, is there are definitely times people think that you're always motivated, like people like me or bodybuilders. And it's like, you know, and I'm glad a lot more people are talking about it and saying like, no, we're not, because it's true. Because I told someone the other day, like there was a 6-month period after my show last year that I hated the gym. I absolutely hated going to the gym. And I still went every single day because the feeling comes back, you know, like, but for a long time it did suck. And so I don't know where I was going with that, but that's
well, you said that you feel like bodybuilding's kind of giving you everything, right? I asked you, what's bodybuilding giving you? Yeah. I
mean, but so in addition to that, like definitely like I think if you do a prep, like and you're actually bodybuilding, I think I always tell people I learn more mentally during a prep than I do physically. Like every time you want to quit and you don't, you're getting stronger. Like the mind is so crazy like that. And when you do an 18 or a 12-week prep and you're that strict and you don't, like like I'm getting up at 3 a.m. to get stuff done, and like you do all that stuff, you form the craziest habits in 3 months. I mean, you become so mentally tough that like you can literally tell yourself, we're running 100 miles tomorrow, and you're just going to keep one foot in front of the, I mean, like, there's tons of times I want to quit on the stairs doing 2 hours. Like, come on, dude. Like, I don't want to, but you just don't, And so I think prep, if you do it right, because some people half-ass prep, but if you do it right, I think you see that like we really have a lot higher ceiling than you think for limits.
Yeah, amen to that, dude. Fun question for you here. What are a couple of your biggest gym pet peeves?
Oh man, I just hate when people rack the weights all fucked up. Because I just don't get it. Like you put a 10 and then a 5 and then a 45, and I'm like, dude. Honestly, that's like the main one I could think of.
Okay. What meal, food, what have you, are you most craving or looking forward to having off of your regular bodybuilding meal plan post North Americans?
So last year, because it was my first year competing, I made this mistake where I focused on food the whole prep, and all I thought about was this meal right here. And so I won the bodybuilding part, and it was in the middle of the show. And I came off and I was like, I'm fucking hungry. Let's go. And I was excited because I won. And, but when you win, you got to do the photo shoot at the end. And my coach, he's very professional and strict, and we do a lot of things over the top because of where we want to be. You know what I mean? So like, we're a little extreme, but, and he was like, you can't eat yet. You have to do the photo shoot at the end. And I was like, what the fuck do you mean? So my point in telling the story is my mind was set up bad. And because at the end of the show, I looked like an asshole after winning because I was throwing a fit about eating a rice cake. And I don't ever want to act like that again. So this year, I have not thought about what I'm going to do after the show. I've literally thought about winning, coming off stage, saying hi to my parents, hugging my coach, like saying we did it. I've played that moment 150 million times over. After that, it's just on pause. The only thing I care about is that I get to eat with everyone that came out to support me. That's it. Where we eat and what we eat, food is always there.
Cool, man. Love that mindset. You are, man, like I said, I've had a lot of the guys that are going to be in your division and super heavies on, over the weekend and more to come. And it's going to be a great competition, dude. Like the heavyweights, there's going to be some heavy hitters. Super heavyweights going to be some heavy hitters. And, the majority of these guys that I'm talking to, I ask a lot of the similar questions, right. And, guys aren't thinking about cheat meals. They're thinking about the competition. They're thinking about winning. They're thinking about that overall. And, like I said to somebody yesterday, you want to be competing against the best, right? You don't want to show up and have a watered down North Americans or a small class. Like you want it to be a deep class. You want it to be competitive. You want to beat the best, right? So I'm excited. You guys all should be excited because, man, I think open men's bodybuilding is alive and well, especially at the national level. We've seen some great competition already this year at the USA's. Last year's nationals was legit, and you should be excited. We're gonna wrap it up right there, Mike. Before I do a quick outro, first of all, I just want to say thanks for coming on, man. 4 days out, it's Sunday. I know you guys have low energy and your mind's not all there, but I really appreciate you coming on, sharing your story, chopping up with us. And then before I do a quick outro, man, if you have any shout outs, if you have any final thoughts, any final words that you want to share with us, I'm going to turn it over to you. Give us your Instagram. If people want to connect with you in terms of coaching, in-person training, stuff like that, feel free to share that information. And then I'll close this out. So the platform is yours, man.
Yeah. My Instagram is just Mike_Scherer, SCHERER 35. And you can reach me for everything on there. Honestly, I do everything on Instagram, and like I treat it like my job. So that's really it. Thank you so much for having me on, man. I love what you're doing. It's so great. that's it, man. I guess just looking forward to the show. Sorry, there's gonna be so many times in there when it's like you can tell I lost everything I was saying.
You got to remember, man, everybody's 4, 5, 6 days out that I'm having on. So
Oh yeah,
there's some you did a great job. Some of the guys are just like, I mean, they're on planet Mars, man. Like it's hard to get 5 words out of them. So you did fine. Everybody's understanding. Everybody appreciates you guys coming on this far in prep, because a lot of people that are watching this, listening to this, we've done competitions, we've been there, maybe not at your guys' level, but we get it and we appreciate it. So you're welcome, man. You said thank you to me. You're welcome. However things turn out at North Americans, I'd love to get you back on and kind of just get a recap. If you're down with that, maybe 2-3 weeks after the competition. I'm going to be out of town here in a couple weeks, so I'll be off the grid, but I'd love to get you back on in the future and just kind of wrap up North Americans talk. Is that cool?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. Sure. All of you who are tuning in to another episode of Behind the Muscle podcast, I just want to say thank you so very much. If it weren't for all of you, the podcast wouldn't exist. A couple of quick things as we wrap up this great conversation with Mike today. If you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube. I think we're 8 subscribers away from that 1,000 subscriber mark on YouTube, which has been a huge goal of mine for a long time. So if you aren't a subscriber on YouTube, please go right now, hit that subscribe button. That's really important because I release all these episodes first on YouTube, and then I'll distribute them to iTunes, Castbox, Podbean, and some of the other major podcast platforms. So hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Also take this episode with Mike, share it on your Instagram stories. Make sure you tag Mike, tag his coach, Marcus Wade, and then also tag Behind the Muscle podcast so that we know you listened specifically to this episode and found great value in it, in which we know you did. And then finally, I will leave you all with this. Remember, behind the muscle, there's always a story. We'll catch you guys later.